Welcome to the Red Carpet Movie Review. Today we're going to review Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Hollywood, California, welcome to the Red Carpet Review, starring the Showstopper, Shawn Valentino, also starring Rich Twilling. Today we review Won't You Be My Neighbor? Live from the red carpet.
Hey everybody, this is Shawn Valentino, your host on the Red Carpet Movie Review. And today we're going to review Won't You Be My Neighbor? Now, Won't You Be My Neighbor is directed by Morgan Neville, and it's a documentary on legendary television star Fred Rogers. And I thought what made this movie such a brilliant film was that Fred Rogers was the most unlikely of TV stars. And it was even said that in the course of this film that this was a show that had very little special effects to none. It had a very generic set, and it had a very unlikely host, a guy that wasn't really outwardly charismatic, and he didn't really have that television star look. But at the same time, this was a guy that was made for television, and this was a guy that changed television. And that's exactly what this documentary explores. It doesn't just explore the television show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which millions of kids all over the world grew up with, including myself, and it was a show that inspired and entertained generations upon generations of children. And this is one of the greatest television shows in the history of pop culture. But this film is more than an exploration of the history of that TV show. It was really about the man behind the myth of Mr. Rogers. And I think what made this documentary so entertaining and so informative and so inspiring was that the myth and the man were one and the same. Fred Rogers was really this Mr. Rogers character in real life. And this film really explores Mr. Rogers through the people that knew him best, as well as his own interviews and television appearances over the years. And for anybody that has seen the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood show, you know that it's a collection of little moments that really inspire kindness and are also encouraged. And I thought the most ironic and interesting part of this entire documentary was that Fred Rogers was actually a guy that hated television because he saw it being used as a negative tool. But instead of complaining about it, this is a guy that actually went out of his way to create content that would change the course of television history. And I thought the best moment in this movie, and possibly the best moment I've seen in films all year, was Fred Rogers going before the Senate to argue for funding for public television. And anybody that watches this moment is going to be completely inspired. Most of the audience was in tears during this segment. It's absolutely brilliant. It's on YouTube, but I suggest that you see it within the context of this documentary because you can see what builds up to it. And it's really a magical moment in the course of cinema history. I just love this moment because it's just one guy being himself, arguing against the government and making change. And that's really what this movie and Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was really all about, is inspiring change in people's lives through these little moments that made a big difference. And I think that's what you're going to take away from this film. And I think this is a movie that absolutely everybody should watch, because in a time where everybody is complaining about how divisive everything is and people are brought to tears through sadness, this is a movie that's going to bring you to tears with tears of joy through just seeing the kindness of one man helping his fellow man. And the funny thing is, as much as that sounds like something that's just a given on paper, in this day and age, it's almost a novel concept because you rarely see that in TV or movies. And I thought that's what made this movie the best movie I've seen all year. And we here at the Red Carpet Review like to rate our movies on a 5-star scale, and I'm going to give Won't You Be My Neighbor 5 stars on a 5-star scale. And anybody that watches this film is going to wish that they had Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers himself, as their neighbor. And I think you're going to want to be nicer to your neighbor and your fellow man in general, because this is just an inspirational, amazing film. Definitely go check this out. Check out Won't You Be My Neighbor, the best movie of 2018 so far. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button, press subscribe, and we'll see you next week on the red carpet.
Thank you for watching the Red Carpet Review. Proceed to click that like button and press subscribe for weekly movie reviews past and present. We'll see you soon on the red carpet.